The clock on the kitchen wall showed 8:17 p.m. when the silence began. Just moments before, Lena's voice had filled the room, sharp, urgent, layered with frustration. Now, only the hum of the refrigerator echoed between them. She stood by the sink, arms crossed, staring at Alex. He sat at the table, eyes fixed on his hands. This was their pattern. Every argument ended this way. Lena trying to talk, to fix things immediately. Alex retreating into a fortress of silence. Two people who loved each other deeply, speaking different emotional languages, stranded on opposite shores of the same heartache. If you could step inside Alex's mind in that moment, you would find not indifference, but a storm. It began physically, a rush of heat, a tightening in his chest. His heart beat faster, his muscles tensed. This was cortisol flooding his system, the ancient fight or flight response activating. But there was no predator to fight, no physical danger to flee from. There was only the woman he loved, asking him to speak when his biology was screaming at him to act. His mind scrambled. Thoughts collided without connecting. I need to fix this. Why can't I find the right words? I'm failing her. The more she pressed, the more the mental static grew. The part of his brain responsible for language, for finding and forming words, was literally going offline under stress. This reaction was shaped by a lifetime of lessons. He remembered being 7 years old, crying after falling off his bike, and his father saying, "Big boys don't cry. Shake it off." He remembered being 16 and heartbroken, and his coach clapping him on the shoulder. "Don't let them see it get to you. Be strong." He learned that emotions were vulnerabilities, that a real man handles his problems alone. That love means protecting your partner from your anger, your confusion, your mess. So his silence wasn't a weapon. It was a shield, a desperate, flawed attempt to protect them both from words he might regret, from emotions he couldn't control. He was trying to solve the problem the only way he knew how, in the quiet, solitary workshop of his mind. To Lena, standing across the kitchen, Alex's silence was a void, and nature abhors a vacuum. Into that quiet, her mind poured a torrent of interpretations. He doesn't care. He's not even listening. I'm not important enough to fight for. What is he hiding? Is he thinking about leaving? Each minute of silence amplified her anxiety. Her need to talk wasn't just about resolving the dispute over forgotten chores or missed commitments. It was about repairing a tear in their emotional connection. For her, verbal processing was the thread she used to weave that connection back together. Words were the proof of presence, of engagement, of love. Her wiring was different. While stress triggered Alex's fight or flight, it triggered her tend and befriend response. Her instinct was to move toward, to communicate, to seek closeness and reassurance. His retreat felt like a rejection of that very instinct. She remembered her own childhood, a household where conflicts were hashed out at the dinner table. Her mother would say, "We don't go to bed angry. We talk it out." To Lena, love meant facing things together, immediately. His silence felt like being locked out of a room she was supposed to share. Her frustration wasn't nagging. It was a cry for reconnection. See me, hear me, let me know we're still us. The couch in their living room had become the neutral ground where their cold wars thawed. Tonight, they sat at opposite ends, the space between them heavy with unsaid words. Lena took a slow, deep breath, breaking the cycle. She remembered an article she'd read, a podcast she'd heard. It talked about biological wiring and different conflict styles. "Alex," she said, her voice softer now, stripped of its earlier edge. "I know you need time to think. I'm going to read in the bedroom for a while. Let's come back and talk in half an hour." "Okay." Those words were a key turning in a lock. For Alex, it was permission. Permission to process without pressure, to gather his scattered thoughts without the crushing weight of immediate expectation. It was a signal that she understood this wasn't a refusal to engage, but a different method of engagement. The relief was physical. He felt his shoulders relax. For Lena, it was empowerment. By naming the pause and giving it a time limit, she transformed the agonizing, open-ended silence into a managed, temporary break. It gave her a plan, a way to soothe her anxiety instead of letting it spiral. At 9:07 p.m., she walked back into the living room. Alex looked up. "When you said I wasn't listening," he began, his words slow and deliberate. "I felt like you didn't see how hard I was trying to find the right thing to say. But I understand why my silence made you feel alone." Lena listened, her eyes softening. "I just needed to know we were still connected," she said. "That we were still a team, even when we disagree." It wasn't a magic fix. The original issue still needed to be worked through. But now, they were working on it together from the same side of the problem. We step into relationships speaking the native tongue of our own experiences, our own biologies, our own pasts. We assume our partner understands our dialect of love and pain. The great work of love is not about finding a perfect person who speaks your language flawlessly. It is about choosing to become a patient translator for someone you care for deeply. His silence is not her rejection. Her words are not his attack. Love is building a bridge between your two solitary islands. It is him learning to offer a few words of reassurance before he needs to retreat. It is her learning to see his request for space not as a door slammed shut, but as a promise to return. The next time silence falls between you, try seeing it not as a void, but as a space for grace, a moment to breathe, to remember that behind every behavior is a person trying their best to love you with the tools they have. For in the end, love is not about the absence of conflict. It is about the presence of a bridge, built word by word, silence by understood silence, strong enough to hold you both. Have you encountered this situation in your relationship? Do you understand his silence or need to talk better? Share your thoughts in the comments. Your experience will help others.